It's time to sit back, relax, and listen to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life will inspire, motivate, and empower you. Live your best life now. Listen, learn, think, and decide. Change your attitude, change your life. And now, here's your host, Joan Herman.
Welcome to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. You're listening to us in your neighborhood, from coast to coast, and around the world. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Joan Herman, author, speaker, and your host. Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life brings you interviews with some of the most inspirational and influential people in the world. It's our goal to educate and empower you so you can live your best life now. Thank you for taking time for yourself, and thank you for letting us be a part of your life. We have another great show for you today. If today was your last day, would you die with no regrets? Today's guest, Bronnie Ware, collected years of insight that focuses on how we, the living, can make the most out of our lives right now. From working less to staying in touch with friends, recognizing the simple wishes of the departing can help you improve the quality of your life and enable you to live more consciously and freely, choosing happiness. Bronnie is the author of the book, The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. Welcome, Bronnie. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Joan. It's a pleasure.
Bronnie, your book, The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying, it really got me thinking about my life and all the things that I regret. So how did you get started doing this work?
Oh, the work called me, really. I didn't see it coming, that's for sure. I think it was just part of my life's calling. I was a singer-songwriter, and I was looking for a situation where I didn't have to pay rent or a mortgage, and I also was looking for work with heart. And so I took on a role as a live-in carer, and that unfolded into 8 years of looking after dying people, and just brought my life so many blessings and transformations.
And Bronnie, before we get to discussing the top 5 regrets, what did you notice? Did your patients that were dying, were there commonalities among these people?
There were, and there were a lot of emotions that were quite similar in fear and denial and anger and a desire to resolve things, that sort of thing. But there were also individual differences. The main things in common were that these themes kept coming up over and over again, and it was quite astounding and heartbreaking to realize how common these regrets were. Yes.
Well, as a family member, one of the things that struck me, because I saw myself in it, when you were sharing the story about Joseph, when my father was dying of lung cancer, I was really acting in the way that his children were acting. I was the cheerleader for my dad. And even though I knew he probably was going to pass away, I felt that I needed to give him hope. Always tell him, keep working, Dad, and it's going to be okay. And he was actually dying around Christmas time. And I remember when I had found out that there probably was going to be a few weeks into January, and that would be about it. I asked the doctors if we could wait to tell him so he could have his last Christmas. And the doctors agreed, but they said, if he asks, we won't lie to him. And I said, that's fair. And of course, my father asked the next day, and they told him, and then he literally came home the day after and died, because knowing my father, if he had any control in the matter, he didn't want to be a burden. So what you've learned, a message for family members: should we try to protect the dying patient, or is it really important to that person to know what's going on?
I think there are specific cases where perhaps it does protect the person, but overall, one of the greatest lessons I've had through all of these years with dying people, and just through my own life experiences, is that honesty works. And I think there's an element of relief when the dying person actually gets some honesty and knows that, like in the case of your dad, they can let go then. They're not using all the energy to fight for survival on a false hope. It almost gives them permission to let go. And as hard as that honesty is, and as terrifying as it can be, it can also bring a lot of peace. And really, when people are in their last days, they're already in enough pain. They just want peace. So if we can facilitate that through honesty, then it has to be a positive thing.
And, Bronnie, I wanted to do this show because I think every day in our life, we get so caught up in the rat race of it all, of working and trying to acquire this and that and pushing people aside, and we just forget to live. And this is such an important message because we don't want to have these regrets at the end of our time. And so, to talk about some of these regrets, the first one is to have the courage to live the life that's true. And you shared a wonderful story of a woman, Grace, and I have to tell you, I was crying during this story because I saw a lot of myself in that, in my marriage. Why do you find that people look back and they wish that they had been true to themselves? What is the big regret in that message?
It's that we are so shaped by the opinions of others, and it's astounding how much we are shaped by that. And when people are on their deathbed as well, it doesn't matter if they're in their 60s or 80s or 30s, whatever. Everyone seems quite amazed by how quickly their life has gone and how quickly death has arrived, and just the fact that it's over and this lifetime is over. So I think then there's certainly an element of clarity, and it's just it's enormous how much we're shaped by the opinions of others, and that fear of how we'll be perceived by others. It can end up ruling our lives in many ways.
Okay, so the first regret, as we just spoke about, is having the courage to live a true life, something that's true to yourself. The next one is not working so hard, not putting so much time in at the office. And I think almost everyone is guilty of this one. People today work 70, 80-hour work weeks. So what did people tell you about this?
One of the things that came up regularly with that regret was the need for balance. It was never about not enjoying your work, and certainly when you're passionate about your work, you want to work a lot of hours, but realizing that there has to be a life outside of that as well. So if work was taken away from you, would your life still have meaning? Would it still have happiness? Would it still feel fulfilled? So it's more about balance than not being passionate about your work, and making very conscious choices along the way to maintain that balance. It really can be a daily choice on whether you're going to focus on work outside of work time, or whether you can switch off properly yourself, and also, not letting work be everything, finding solutions where you can fix that balance up a little bit.
And Bronnie, the next one, being brave enough to express feelings. I think that this is so relevant to so many people. Harboring anger, not letting go of things, holding grudges. How important is forgiveness? What did you learn about forgiveness?
I found that most dying people found forgiveness quite easy because they just realised there was just no point in carrying on whatever the issue was. There were people who died with unforgiveness, definitely, but in general, most people were just too tired to keep going, and it's a lot easier to actually get along with people than to not. Sometimes, though, the other side, the people who were remaining, weren't as forgiving. They still had to work through their own issues of forgiveness. So, forgiveness sets us free. I saw some amazing acts of forgiveness from both sides, from people being left behind and for people who were dying, and just the clarity and the ease that flowed after that. It shows how much forgiveness can truly just block us up and hinder us from flow, because it takes a lot of energy to stay in a place of unforgiveness. Yes.
Well, it does. And the takeaway from this one, I think, is that we waste so much time and energy on things that in the end don't matter. They don't matter. As you said, they're too tired to hold these grudges. They just don't mean anything. So maybe if we could just take that lesson and bring it into our lives earlier, maybe we could just have more peace on a day-to-day basis.
Oh, I agree completely, Joan. And I think one of the ways to do that, because, it's easy for us to say, well, just forgive people, but that's not always an easy act for many, many people. But one of the ways to help facilitate that change is to face the fact that you're going to die, and that it could be soon, or it could be in, a week, or it could be in a year or a decade, whatever, or hopefully more decades. But the fact is we are going to die. And so, when we can face the fact that there is limited time, it's like, well, why waste it in negativity and unforgiveness, and why not just grasp the incredible gift of time and life that we have left, and if we can face that death, it does make resolving forgiveness much easier.
No, I agree. I do. And the next one, wishing to have stayed in touch with friends. I'm glad that this is a lesson I've been able to learn at an earlier age, but I had to learn it going through some very difficult times. So many of us, me included, we get caught up in our marriage and raising kids and working and in the day-to-day life, and we let people that were at one time important to us slip away. And it wasn't until I experienced death of family members and my divorce that I realized how important my friendships were. And these were the people that were there for me and became my family. So what did the dying people say to you about this, about letting important relationships slip away?
What the dying said about losing their friendships was, there were quite a lot of different comments coming in from that when people are dying, they want to hold on to life for as long as they can, and family are often caught up in grief before the person has died, but for the person who's dying, they want to keep living and enjoying their life. And so friends can often bring in that fun reminiscing and the understanding of history that goes often further back than what the dying person's children do. So the importance of staying in touch with those people they've basically been a witness to your life, or to significant parts of your life, and parts of your life that you would like to review or reminisce over, for enjoyment and just to recap your life in a way. So to let those friendships go was quite heartbreaking for some of the dying people who I cared for, because they tried to track some of them down, and they'd either died or couldn't be found, and it did bring quite some anguish to people, and sadness to them that they weren't able to reconnect at a time when they were almost desperate to reconnect with their friends.
And finally, Bronnie, the last regret that you include here on the list is that people wish they had let themselves be happier. What do you mean by this? I mean, it's so general, but what do you think they meant when they said they wish they had been happier?
It's a choice, and that's what people realised, and that's what they taught me, that life's going to have its challenges, it's going to have its sadness and anger and all the other emotions that come into it, and they do have their place, but it is still a choice whether we stay dwelling in those other spaces, in those other emotions. And so we can feel sad, and we can ignore whatever emotion we're going through, but we can then turn around and find gratitude in whatever we're going through, or just to decide, okay, well, I've dwelled in this for long enough, I'm going to focus on something else, and focus on something that through gratitude's a great turnaround point if you're stuck in an emotion that isn't a pleasant one for you. If you can start looking for blessings in your life, or blessings in the situation or the moment that you're in, then you can actually start steering yourself towards happiness. So that was a part of it, the fact of realizing that it was a choice. But also, again, it links back to that first regret where people, their own self-worth was based on negative opinions they'd taken on board from other people. And in the end, they realized that they were only opinions of other people. They really did not have to shape this person's life. So there is a lot of choice there, as hard as those choices can be. It is still our choice what we focus on and how we set ourselves free.
Bronnie, if you could sum up these regrets and the body of your work, everything that you've been able to gain, the wisdom you've gained from working with these people, What do you believe we can learn from the dying?
That life is to be enjoyed. It really is just an incredible gift that can be a beautiful, simple journey if we allow ourselves allow ourselves the freedom to enjoy it and to recognise it for the gift that it is.
The book is The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying by Bronnie Ware. If you'd like to get more information about the book or about Bronnie's work, you can visit her website, BronnieWare.com. That's BronnieWare.com, BronnieWare.com. Bronnie, thank you so much for joining us today. As I said, I think this is such an important message because we go through life thinking we have so much time. And as you said, when people are dying, they all seem to believe that it happened much too quickly. So these are really important lessons that we can incorporate today and begin living, as you said, a happier, more fulfilled life. So thank you so much for being here.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. Absolutely. Thank you, Jane.
We'll be right back. Hi, this is Joan Herman, host of Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Did you know that Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life has a free monthly digital magazine that can be read online or emailed to your inbox? Every month, nationally recognized leaders in their field provide information to educate, inspire, and motivate you. We believe in a holistic approach to life, incorporating mind, body, and spirit. Check out a copy of Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life 24/7. Visit cyacyl.com and be sure to tell your friends. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you found the show informative. At Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life, we believe that knowledge is power. Take what you've learned, apply it, and live your best life now. Remember that the information provided are the opinions of our guests and should never replace the advice of a professional who knows your personal situation. If you'd like more information, visit our website, cyacyl.com. That stands for Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. While on the site, listen to past shows on demand, read the digital magazine, and be sure to follow the show on Facebook and Twitter. Until next time, this is Joan Herman. Thanks for tuning in.